that experience of friendship in our life. Some of it good, some of it bad. Some of us have friends that we've known since we were small children. Louie and I have known each other since I was 5. I won't tell you how many years that is, however. Others of us have had short-term friendships that have become endearing within our hearts. And today I'd like to share with you a story about a group of friends that I have that have been around for 32 years. 32 years ago, WAGS was formed. Originally, it was a group of 4 of us, and we called ourselves the Women's Administrators Golfing Society. Ultimately, it became Women Against Golfing Seriously. Now, what you have to understand is that this group of women are not ordinary women or ordinary golfers, and we range in skill level from basically 0 to absolutely 0 handicap golfers. But most of us, when we came together, were either in the parks and recreation field in Southern California or were landscape architects. And because all the men in our field regularly met with other men and played golf, we decided we were going to do that too. And so 4 of us ultimately got together, and it grew over the years to a total of 8. Now, you have to understand that this group is a group of jokesters. They do things like they'd unstrap the bags on the back of your golf cart when you weren't looking, and then when you'd start up your golf cart, all your bags and your clubs would go flying. They'd replace your ball with an exploding ball so that as soon as you'd hit it, it would explode into dust. Or just as you were lifting your club back into the backward spring, they would start to talk. Or my favorite was sticking a putter through your feet just as you were ready to hit the ball, and they would send it flying in another direction. The amazing part, however, about this group is that we started as professional friends, and after 32 years, we've become what you might call bosom buddies. We have supported each other through the loss of jobs, the loss of relationships, illness, surgeries, the loss or death of our parents, and most importantly, ultimately, the death of one of our own. And while we were originally from Southern California, I was the first one to leave, and everybody said, "You're breaking up the group." And so in about 1998, we put together a 4-day weekend where we came together and we played golf. And that custom since 1998 still exists, and every November or December we gather in Southern California in Palm Springs to continue this tradition. Except it's not just about playing golf. It's about cooking together and playing games together. It's about loving each other and understanding and being there to support each other. Holmes tells us that we reach God in others by reaching out from God within the self. Always the God in others will respond to the God in us, but never beyond the level of our inward spiritual awareness. Certainly this group of women, this group of 8, came together to play golf initially. But I believe that it was the divine in all of us that kept us coming back. Year after year, month after month. Through the years, I've come to understand friendship in a different way because of this group of women and their devotion to each other. Even though we may only see each other once a year, it's like putting on an old pair of slippers or an old pair of shoes. They're just comfortable to be with. And they've taught me many things through the years, and here are just a few of the things I'd like to share with you. Choose friends that serve. Not all people are willing to serve. In fact, some people expect you to serve them. But true friends will serve others as well as God. The 8 women that I know collectively have served more professional organizations and nonprofits as presidents, secretaries, committee chairs than I can count on my hands and my toes, or my fingers and my toes. But these women are not only at the helm, they're willing to roll up their sleeves and get dirty. Set up the tables, set up or tear down the chairs. We have many within this church who serve, just like today you were greeted by Rexine and Freeman, or there's a cornucopia of food in there that has been provided by Kathy and Karen. And today, something that you won't realize is that every single week, without fail, Pat is in the back room taking care of and financially reporting our financial offerings that we receive each week. Service does not always mean that we are recognized by others, but I guarantee you that Spirit notices our willingness to serve. Next, I think that we need to choose friends that humble themselves. This is not an easy one. All too often, people are busy trying to make you feel humble, trying to make you go inward. And I'm reminded of the story about Albrecht Dürer, who is the famous painter of the praying hands. Does everybody know what I'm talking about, those beautiful hands? Well, there's a special story behind that. This painting was inspired by the sacrifice of a near and dear friend of Dürer's. Now, these two men lived together, and they were both artists, and they were struggling, trying to create art, and they couldn't even feed themselves. And so Dürer's friend said, "Don't worry about it. I'll go to work for the two of us to provide for our home and to provide for our food and to allow Dürer to finish art school." And so the only thing that the friend could find was common labor. Labor that required the use of his body, and he was an older man. And finally, one day, Dürer was able to sell a piece of, or one of his painting. And it provided enough money for both of them to be able to paint extendedly. And the older friend looked at him and said, "But I can't." And as he held up his hands, you could see that they were now deformed by the difficult and hard labor that he had performed for well over a year. And so at that point in time, Dürer extended his deepest appreciation to him for what he had done to allow him to use his talents. And then one day, Dürer came home, and he found his friend praying. And in that simple act of praying with his hands together, he immediately began to paint the hands that we know today as the praying hands. This is a beautiful picture, but to me it not only represents the prayers that were extended by that man, or the prayers that each and every one of us will recall to our mind when we see that painting, but also it represents love and sacrifice of his very old friend. We sacrifice when we care about our friends. I also think that the greatest humility, the greatest humbling, is when we as friends are not only willing to help, but we ask for forgiveness or apologize for something we have done to one of our friends. Choose friends that endure through tough times. Once there were two friends who were walking down a country road, and they happened to see a barn with a weather vane on it, and the weather vane said on it, "God is love." One friend pointed up at it and he said, "That weather vane has got it all wrong. A weather vane changes with the wind. God's love is constant. It never changes." The other friend simply said, "You don't understand the total meaning of that weather vane." You see, the weather vane indicates the truth. Regardless of which way the wind blows, God is love. And that is a constant in our life. You see, true friends stand by us not only through the good times, but also through the bad. And sometimes when we think that we can't take one more step forward, they are there to nurture and guide us. Samuel Coleridge wrote a poem entitled Youth and Age, and in it is one line that says, "Friendship is a sheltering tree. Friends are like the branch on a tree. They provide us with shade in the heat of the day. They provide us with refuge from a storm. And friends are like that tree. They give us comfort. And the fruit that they produce provides nourishment and encouragement.